Hello, my name is Jeff Jackson, and I am the owner of Barefoot Properties in Belize, Central America. I am also a doctoral student at California Intercontinental University. I'd like to welcome you to my video. As part of my video series, I like to use props as a means of visualization so that I can convey the concept of what I'm trying to communicate to those who watch these videos. As you will note, I have a tool box here, which I'll use as my prop. Just as a mechanic or a tradesperson has a professional toolbox in which they keep all their tools of their trade, as a manager, I believe we should also have a professional toolbox where we keep the professional tools of our trade safely kept away, where we can access it and use it whenever we need it appropriately. It is my goal throughout these video series and these training sessions that I might be able to impart upon you some of the tools of the trade that I have learned as a manager and that have helped me in my career. I appreciate you watching this video, and I truly hope that some of these tools you'll find helpful throughout your career. Thank you.
In the global market, companies from the United States continue to expand their businesses overseas. This in turn increases the demand for qualified employees to be stationed in foreign locations. Globalization has affected the manner in which businesses operate. In some cases, the world of business has shrunk due to technological advances in communications and the implementation of geographically separated international business teams. These changes in business have resulted in more and more organizations structuring their workforce according to function rather than geography. Once a business has completed the process of establishing an international presence in a foreign country, it is the job of human resources to staff these positions in order to promote effective business operations. According to an article in Business Horizons, up to 40% of expatriate managers terminate their assignments early, thereby never completing the assignments they were selected for. These early terminations can end up costing companies between $50,000 and $150,000 US, and can also result in derailing the potential careers of selected managers. Given the fact that the demand for international managers is on the rise, and that for many managers an international posting can lead to greater opportunities in the company later, a closer examination as to why so many assignments terminate early is clearly warranted. In my research, I have discovered that there are two primary reasons cited as to why so many expatriates fail to complete their assignments. It is either that the employee did not adequately prepare themselves for the assignment, or the sponsoring company failed to properly prepare the employee for an overseas assignment. There are 4 key steps that your company can take to start developing managers for international expatriate assignments. They are: develop an international human resource philosophy, determine the company foreign staffing needs, select and train international managers, and develop a plan for managing expatriate assignments. The information included in this presentation will allow any company that conducts business globally the ability to develop a plan to train, attain, deploy, and manage a qualified expatriate workforce. The first step we will begin with is the foundation of any training program, which is to develop a philosophy to follow. As a starting point for developing an international manager program, companies should develop an international human resource philosophy that describes corporate values and attitudes about human resources. The reason why this is so important is that the philosophy that is crafted will help in shaping the core international human resources policies that define how employees will be treated globally. Under this broad umbrella, individual units can fine-tune and select specific practices that best fit their local conditions. When considering a human resource philosophy, most multinationals we'll develop one of three resource strategies: a social welfare type, a cost containment type, or an invest in employees approach. Each of these approaches are outlined in the exhibit that follows. Let's start by reviewing training and money. Under the social welfare program, employee training is very narrow and tends to be technically specific. Under the cost containment approach, training is reduced to the lowest possible extent. Under the invest in employees approach, a wide range of developmental training is available for new existing employees. Regarding money, under social welfare, pay is determined on a collective basis and is generally not performance driven. Under cost containment, individual performance drives pay levels. Under invest in employees, both individual bonuses, incentives, and unit or firm-based profit sharing systems exist. In regards to health and welfare, the welfare side is provide direct, extensive subsidies for housing, health, and other social concerns, whereas the cost containment is a divestiture from social environment and a cutback or eliminate of all subsidies for employee welfare. And an invest in employees entails a slow phase out of direct subsidies not directly linked to employee performance. Regarding job security, the only plan that has a medium job security is invest in employees. And lastly, the invest in employees approach may have the best chance of positively impacting a firm's performance in transitional economies. However, one size may not fit all, and as such, some combination of the strategies listed above could occur depending upon the circumstances. Attached is a sample of a human resources philosophy from an international company in India. In this example from Jindal Steel and Power, it would appear that they border between a cost containment approach and an investment in employees approach. While the HR philosophy outlines individual issues such as employee respect, achievement, and involvement in social and environmental programs in the communities where they operate, we do not know if the company provides paid training to its workers or bonuses and incentives for good performance. A well-written invest in employees philosophy should include some of these issues so that there is no ambiguity. Developing an international company's management resource is a demanding exercise which involves a cost to the company. Determining staffing needs includes answering questions such as, should there be an elite group of managers given international experience as part of their grooming for top jobs? Or should the international experience be offered to a wider group of managers who are already the backbone of a company? Conversely, should the company favor local in-country managers over expatriates? Regarding either choice, can the costs be justified? If a company answers yes to the last question, considerable resources and effort must be spent then in preparing managers for international assignments. When considering managers for international assignments, other questions such as, will language training be required? Should there be preliminary overseas visits? And should in-house management courses and general management training at business schools be included as part of the development process? All of these factors must be considered when staffing overseas subsidiaries. Once a location and structure has been established, human resources then determines the staffing that will be required for foreign operations. The strategic choice firms make when competing in the global economy should be supported by their international human resource practices. A traditional approach is to recruit parent country nationals, or PCNs, for top management and important technical positions in foreign subsidiaries. Once hired and deployed to their foreign station, PCNs are then referred to as expatriates. There are two important reasons for companies sending PCNs on expatriate assignments. First, they are the perceived lack of appropriate expertise in a foreign subsidiary, And secondly, it is perceived that a PCN is the best option for effectively monitoring and controlling foreign operations. Conversely, the drawback with PCNs is their limited grasp of local cultures and business practices, especially early on in a foreign assignment. A manager who cannot accept local cultural issues will most likely not compete or complete for a term of his or her assignment. According to author Warren Heaps, one of the best ways for a company to ensure all the necessary steps are followed in preparing a PCN for an expatriate assignment is to use checklists. Checklists are simple to create, but yet prove to be an extremely useful device that will help everyone stay on track with PCNs. An example of a PCN checklist is presented in this slide and reflects 5 steps that PCNs must follow. The first step is to identify candidates. This is one of the most crucial steps for an international assignment. It is essential that the right person for the right job be identified. From a fiscal viewpoint, assignments are expensive, so you want to make sure your investment is sensible. Next, candidates need to be evaluated and assessed. Standard assessments should be used to select people for any position in your company. However, special consideration should be given to a candidate's suitability for an assignment. This includes an assessment of their personality and cultural awareness to try and predict how successful they would be in a new environment. How well does a candidate deal with uncertainty and change? Are they comfortable operating in unfamiliar territory? Is their operating style compatible with local culture? If the candidate has a family, you should consider an assessment of them as well. The next step is assignment planning. Assignment planning includes the key steps you must follow after your candidate is selected for assignment and management has approved the move. At this stage, specifics are identified, which includes a more detailed budget, along with strategic planning for tax savings and ensuring compliance with immigration requirements. There's a lot of information that is needed to move forward with assignment planning, and sometimes it may not be in your HR system. The biggest task is to gather complete family information in order to provide inputs into the draft compensation calculation and to those coordinating relocation, immigration, visas, and benefits. You'll need to make sure that the assignee and family members have proper immunizations and valid passports. The last 3 stages in the process involve the actual deployment reception, support during the assignment, and eventually the steps required at the conclusion of the assignment and the repatriation of the employee to his or her home country. All of these issues are included in the section on assignments, which follows later in this presentation. American and European companies tend to view PCNs differently when selecting candidates for expatriate assignments. American companies often overemphasize technical skills, managerial qualifications, and a desire to quickly snuff out problems overseas, while European and Scandinavian companies tend to stress cross-cultural skills. Regardless of how someone is selected for an expatriate assignment, it is important that companies prepare a workforce of international employees to fill global positions abroad. In this slide, I have noted 4 means by which companies can target employees for expatriate assignments. First, companies can rotate promising managers through foreign assignments. Or, companies can recruit foreign students who want to return to their home countries and work. Or, companies can identify employees fluent in multiple languages who are open to learning new cultural skills. And companies can establish training programs and bring managers together globally to work on projects in simulated environments. International managers must work to understand how cultures and values can shape employee motivation in particular countries. International managers must also understand that regional differences in values may exist within a country that can impact both motivation and business performance. One skill set that human resources should strive to instill in international managers is transformational leadership. Author Andrew DeBrine defines leadership as the ability to inspire confidence and support among the people who are needed to achieve organizational goals. This definition serves as a springboard for defining what constitutes a transformational leader. Transformational leaders are those leaders who are able to galvanize employees and help turn poorly performing companies into winners. In fact, some experts argue that the most successful international managers are those who exhibit transformational leadership traits. Transformational leaders possess 4 unique qualities. They possess charisma, meaning that the leader can arouse emotions among the followers based upon their faith in the leader. They can issue inspirational appeals, meaning that they can communicate clear and compelling visions for the future for followers, which is linked to high performance expectations. They possess a need for intellectual stimulation, meaning that a transformational leader will challenge subordinates on ways to improve operations as they follow the leader's vision. Lastly, transformational leaders possess an individualized consideration for those with whom they work. They provide personal attention, empathy, and they communicate with others as individuals. Transformational leaders have a host of different leadership models that they can learn and apply to varying situations. But one leadership model that transformational leaders can utilize and adapt to all cultural variables is the path-goal leadership approach. This approach is not affected by culture, which in turn makes it one of the best leadership approaches to apply to international business environments. The path-goal leadership approach consists of the following 4 basic leadership styles. A directive leader is one that provides clear information and rules to subordinates to follow. A supportive leader focuses on the needs of the subordinates and their well-being. A participative leader consults with subordinates, listens to their opinions, and involves subordinates in decision-making. An achievement-oriented leader is one that focuses on maximizing subordinates' performance by setting goals, providing challenges, and emphasizing excellence. An effective leader can combine or switch between these styles to achieve his or her desired actions. It is estimated that roughly 6 million Americans work overseas, with another 7.5 million embarking on foreign business trips every year. U.S. multinationals alone employ 13 million expatriates of one kind or another. In addition to these numbers, it is estimated that 80% of expatriates have spouses or partners and 60% have children under 18 years of age. In addition to family issues, companies also have responsibilities to expatriates while they are deployed and when the expatriates return. In the slide that follows, I will discuss some deployment-related issues that companies should include in their checklists for expatriate assignments. In regards to assignments, I have broken assignments down into 3 phases: the pre-deployment phase, the deployment phase, and the post-deployment phase. In the pre-deployment phase, research indicates that individuals with such personnel characteristics as adaptability, flexibility, and tolerance for ambiguity are more successful on international assignments than are individuals without these characteristics. Expatriates must be able to work with diverse groups of people. Candidates for expatriate assignments should possess all of these qualities. Candidates should learn nonverbal communications and etiquette for the country that they will be deploying to. For example, in the United States, managers rely heavily on the spoken word, but in cultures such as Japan, China, and the Middle East, less emphasis is placed on verbal communication. In these cultures, the external environment, the situation, and nonverbal behavior are crucial for understanding communications. Failing to understand the importance of nonverbal and environmental cues can reduce an expatriate's effectiveness. Etiquette also differs from country to country. For instance, although the French, Germans, British, and Italians will discuss general details of business over lunch, the Swiss instead use the time to strengthen relationships and do not discuss business. A knowledge of verbal, nonverbal, and business etiquette helps expatriates avoid embarrassing themselves or offending their hosts. A good source of information for expatriates, to include their families also, is the United States State Department, which publishes several useful documents, such as the Post Report. The Post Report provides facts about the geography, climate, commerce, education system, and employment opportunities of selected countries. Additionally, U.S. embassies and consulates sponsor support groups for Americans living abroad. Expatriates usually progress through 3 major stages once they are deployed: the entry, disillusionment, and adjustment/termination phases. In the entry stage of an international assignment, the expatriate is usually entranced by a new culture and the excitement of travel. This phase is quickly followed by a period of disillusionment. If an employee makes it past 6 months, they will normally complete a full year. Because almost every part of an expatriate's life will change while on an international assignment, employees need to be reminded to establish new work relationships. There will also be some stress in any assignment, and some common stress management techniques that have been used by expatriate managers for coping with stress include the following: regular physical exercise, meditation and relaxation techniques, expressing anger and frustration in a diary rather than to host country nationals, checking into a home country hotel for a weekend, going to an international club and only speaking with people from one's home country, and watching videos in one's native language. Also, expatriates should include family members in all stress reduction programs. Expatriates should have a network of current or formerly deployed managers that they can consult for advice, guidance, and support. Whether informal or formal, support groups are a great source for deployed expatriates to tap into for help. When it is time to return home, changes in the home country and in the expatriate's values after several years abroad could make the home environment seem foreign. Changes in the home company require major adjustments and new learning also upon return. Experiencing a new job after returning is often difficult. Having to reorient to living conditions in the home country can also be different from those encountered abroad. Company newsletters, sponsorship programs, and frequent interaction with the home office can lessen some of these anxieties. Some expatriates may also feel unappreciated after their return by their employer after performing well overseas and having to adjust to a lower standard of living after returning home. Additionally, there is a feeling from some employees that they are out of sight and out of mind. To combat this effect, firms can increase the frequency of home visits as the final return date approaches, especially for employees who have been gone for more than 2 years. Companies should ask employees to reflect upon their overseas assignments and request that they serve as part of an expatriate network. A network of expatriates can offer assistance and support for fellow deployed managers and help to ease their readjustment upon returning to their home countries. One last issue to briefly address in discussing expatriate assignments is that expatriates should know in advance that compensation will not be the same for foreign nationals as they will be for expatriate employees. In some cases, local and third country nationals' compensation levels are set to their prevailing country standard, and in general, local nationals receive the fewest elements of compensation of the 3 groups. Additionally, expatriates should also be aware that their compensation may change during and after a deployment. In closing, in a recent survey of European Union companies, it was reported that the proportion of managers with international experience ranges from about 1% in some United Kingdom companies to 80% in one Swiss company. In fact, many firms, it was noted that only 5 to 10% of managers are likely to have international experience. This low number of managers possessing international experience is important because as companies become more global in their operations, they have realized that in some cases they do not have enough high-quality people for their international activities. That is why it is key that companies utilize some of the guidelines contained in this training video to develop international managers to fill the shortage of internationally skilled people and to reduce the potential constraints on companies' global ambitions. In this presentation, I have highlighted the increasing need that exists for companies to develop and deploy international business managers to fill positions in foreign subsidiaries. Additionally, I developed a 4-step approach that company human resource divisions can utilize as a guide in developing their managers for expatriate positions in the global market. In the construction and research of this training video, I utilize multiple books, articles, and illustrations to communicate the importance that human resources plays in the development of international business managers. It is my goal that this information will prove useful in developing a holistic approach towards successfully developing managers for overseas postings. Thank you.